Good evening. Welcome to this channel about past lives and reincarnation. So I'll tell you about another past life today, right? Now, in my last video I talked about what I learned from remembering two past lives. I learned not to cheat on my wife, not to get drunk, and not to back down when I face oppression. Right. Now, this lifetime, when I started to remember this lifetime, I got quite excited actually, because I immediately recognized myself in the way I acted. And I saw, this is how I still do it, right? See, I came to Spain, and this was around 930, the year 930, I believe. It was 900, I'm sure about this. Before I came to Spain, I was living pretty peaceful, relaxed lives around the Mediterranean, especially in Greece. And this is what I picked up, I got fed up with it. I wanted some action. So I started moving northwest, right? And I came to Spain. The first thing that I remembered from this lifetime was my father. Very clear picture of my father. Pretty big guy, and he was dark-skinned. So I was dark-skinned too, of course. My mother was too. There's another thing, when you start to remember past lives, or when you accept it, you don't care about your skin color or anyone's skin color. Of course you don't, because you have them yourself, usually. So I was dark-skinned, Now this was the year 900, and it was in the southeast of Spain, what is now Spain. And they were Moors, Muslims, that's right. And I got in conflict with my father very, very quickly. I think I was maybe 10. I couldn't stand it anymore. Well, I had some major issues with my father. And also with my mother, funny enough. I usually get along with my mothers, but we didn't get along very well. What I remember was that I was sort of surrounded by a lot of men. And it makes sense, right? Because this was a Muslim community, society. And I also pick up that it was pretty tough, the atmosphere, sort of mean, And maybe I didn't like this. And my father, he was sort of mean, that's what I thought. Wanted me to be tough, which is fine, if you talk about tough in the correct sense, but you don't want to be mean, do you? Right, so I didn't like this relationship. So then I see that I leave, and I think I'm about 13, maybe 15 years old. I just leave, and I start to move north. So I see that I leave my parents and my siblings, and I start to move north. And this is the part that I recognize the most about myself, because this is how I deal with stuff today, When I have something, when I'm depending on people, and there's a toxic atmosphere, in any way, I do my best to leave as soon as possible. I just want to get out of there. See? So I'm still doing this today. So I just left, and I never looked back. I don't see myself regretting it in any way. So I'm moving north, and I come to this big water. Right? This is what I see. And I checked the maps, of course. When I started to remember this, I checked the maps, And there is a big water there, of course. It's called, I think it's called the Bay of Biscay, right? Big water, and I lived there, just next to the water. And another thing that I see about living there is that I'm quite alone, which is strange. It was strange to see this, because I usually like to be at least with a woman, you know, form a family. But I don't see a woman. I just see myself there, and having a good time, basically. Fishing. I'm fishing, yes. I always like to fish. I still do, you know. So that's what I did. And I don't think I lived very long. I'm not sure about this one, but I don't see myself growing very old. So what I believe is that I got sick. Maybe when I was 45, 50 years old, I got sick and died. That's what I believe. Because I've been looking at this, and I don't see myself being old in this lifetime. So it ends. Now, there are some details that I don't see, that I don't remember. Mainly because I'm not really interested. You know, I'm not really interested in how I died. You see, I think I can remember it if I wanted to, but I never checked it out. I was just curious about how old I was, how old I got, you know, and I can't see myself being very old. That's all. Right, and I see myself alone, actually. Very strange, this one, being alone. But that's how it was, apparently. Right, that's all. Be good.